So we will be also announcing an in-wall mounting option for both cameras, but specifically for Rally AI camera. Kind of looks like this. It looks like a in-wall enclosure that you can just slip the camera into. This enclosure will also include a nice fabric cover that you can just kind of attach to the front. And when the camera is not in use, the privacy shutter is closed off. And it's just a really nice, elegant, and simple looking device. It doesn't really look like technology.
I love this. It's so slick.
Isn't it nice?
You totally sounded like facilities or architecture there, where you were like, make the technology disappear. Like that's their like primary ask is like, can we have nothing? Well, okay, this is like as I feel like this is as close as you get, particularly with the fabric covers. Really, really slick. Hi, and welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. Excited to have Henry from Logitech back on the show. Logitech have just made some new hardware announcements, so we're going to dive in and get Henry's view on the new announcements and some of the USPs on the new hardware. Really nice stuff. We also took Henry back to 2025 and got his thoughts on last year. And as we record, it's just pre-ISE, so if you're going to be there, hope to see you there. Henry will talk through everything they're going to be showing at ISE as well. On with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Excited to have Henry on the show again. If you didn't hear the last one, we got into all sorts of things about what was going on with Logi and the industry. It was a great convo, very popular one. So looking forward to having you on the show again, Henry. How's it going?
Awesome. Thank you for having me back. We had a great conversation last time. I think I shared a few new things and excited to share a few new things this time around as well.
Awesome. For the couple of people who don't know you, I think most people in the industry do, but give us a little bit of a kind of intro to you and your role.
Yeah. So I'm Henry. I have the best job in the industry. I lead product for Logitech for Business. And we, of course, make solutions for work, for the desktop, for the conference rooms, and everything in between.
Awesome. So as this show goes out, the announcements will have already gone out, which we're going to get into, which I'm really excited about. And we're just ahead of ISE as we record as well. So yeah, lots of news coming. But first, I want to take a look back. We talked kind of mid last year, Rally Board being a highlight for me from your portfolio. But I want to get your take on kind of last year and the product announcements and the market and how it went.
Last year was maybe one, and I've been at Logitech for 8 years, was probably one of our most exciting years. Although we'll see what happens this year. Last year, we had so many new innovations from the desktop to the conference room. You mentioned one of my favorite ones, Rally Board 65. This was, of course, our first all-in-one audio video display solution for the market. The feedback on it has been tremendous. So thank you so much for everyone who's tried it, who's deploying it. It's only getting better and better with software updates. I think last time you and I chatted, I shared that we're working with Microsoft now, our Teams Room on Windows certification. So we're really making sure we support pretty much every major ecosystem partner and their various different experiences. We've done also a couple other things really special with Microsoft last year. So obviously, you know about native Bluetooth support for headsets. So this is really kind of a response to customer feedback saying, we love Teams certified headsets. We love that kind of call sync, that mute control, that everything you get with a certified experience. But not everyone loves dongles. For some people, dongles are a great solution because it does solve a bunch of problems. But for some people, they're like, hey, can we do something without a dongle? So, of course, we worked, as you know, closely with our friends at Microsoft and worked out on a native Bluetooth certification.
Yeah, you were first to market with native Bluetooth, and you very quickly certified multiple devices. Like your headset portfolio is really come on in terms of number of options, and you've got the most native Bluetooth options as well.
I think we were first, I think we were second, and maybe third. So we really just felt strongly about this particular kind of use case and leaned into it in a big way. So yeah, we have multiple headsets now certified. What's nice about it is it saves the end customer, anywhere from $20 to $30 per headset. Saves the end user one more thing to carry. So it's a really compelling experience.
And for those following along, just 2 weeks ago, Microsoft announced that's supported now on AMD and on the Qualcomm, the Copilot Plus PC. So they're kind of, originally it was just Intel, now it's more options. So that's nice to see as well.
Definitely. So kind of a win-win. Of course, we still support and sell the with dongle option. So we kind of give people choice. But we are starting to see more and more folks kind of lean towards the dongleless because experience is very consistent. And again, there's lots of cost and savings involved in that decision.
Awesome. And the board, I've had a few customers on the podcast last year, most recently Toyota. It was a really great conversation. And it feels like the all-in-one kind of board form factor is really popular across multiple customers at the moment.
Definitely. And shout out to JT. He did an awesome job. It was a
Yeah,
really
yeah, he
good
was
interview.
great. Really good
He's
conversation.
he's fantastic. Yeah, we're starting to see pretty nice sizable volume of deployments. And the one thing that we assumed and we are starting to see from feedback and the numbers, a lot of people are just deploying this in traditional conference rooms instead of a video bar. They're basically saying, it's got pretty much all the same sort of capabilities as a video bar, but it's simpler because it's just a single object, and we'll just in our device is Visa mountable, so you could just put it on the wall on an existing Visa mount, and you have a full solution from one vendor.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I've heard the same thing. And like both kind of the cart option is kind of an obvious one because of the flexibility, and like we're not sure what we're doing real estate, we want to move them around. But actually, as you said, then it's like actually if you look at cost of install and effort and everything else, we're just going to go all in one across the board and mount them, and even the touch is sort of optional in a lot of cases, which is interesting.
Absolutely, yeah, that's exactly right. And as I know, we innovated this camera design where you can actually adjust which way you install the device, like the orientation of it. And we did that because we believe that we're going to see more of these deployments in more traditional conference rooms. And if you look at those rooms, typically those cameras are at below the display. So it's kind of like a contradiction. You want to go after those spaces, you want to provide a nice, simple solution, but then the camera, like where do you place the camera, right? We're uniquely able to place the camera either above or below the display. And of course, if you have our beautiful cart, you can even do that dynamically. You can adjust it depending on kind of the scenario.
The cart demo so well. I did, most recently, Neil, we were doing a user group at your London office, and we were flipping it back and forth, dangerously close to one of the other screens. But it's just such a great demo and experience.
It is nice. It is nice. And we got a couple more updates coming for it. Actually, at ISC, since you mentioned it earlier, we announced a few new features that we'll be launching, which is our we call it digital cocoon. Really, the idea is to use software and hardware to focus the meeting experience on just the people that are in front of the device. So we have really advanced beamforming mics. Those mics are going to do something with a feature called Mic Zone. We're basically going to attenuate all the noises that are outside of the area in front of the device, which is really, really nice. And then, of course, depth blur. This is where we kind of provide that like DSLR-like experience to just really focus people on what's in the meeting as opposed to just random stuff in the background. So we'll be showcasing this at ISE, and we should be launching this in beta in the next couple of weeks.
Nice. And you mentioned it at the top, but like it's a MTROA certified and was at launch, and you're now working through MTROW, so both options will be on the table.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's more of our philosophical approach to give people choice. As you know, most of our portfolio supports both the Android, Windows, and BYOD deployments. Really, just to let customers or partners to decide which platform is best for them. Some we actually find will do both. Some actually, you talked to JT a little bit about it. Some are just uncertain and want to make sure that they're future proof for whatever the world entails. So we support both, and they'll be no different for Rally Board 65. It is now certified and has been for Teams Room on Android. And of course, you'll see it for Teams Room on Windows relatively soon.
Awesome. So it's 2026 now, though, and you've got new stuff to show. So where do you want to start with some of the new announcements?
So 2026 will be a big year for Logitech. You can write that one down, and well,
that might be the pod title.
We'll compare next time. We'll meet again. But we're kicking it off in a big way at ISE. So we're announcing 2 new products. And you're actually one of the first people I get to share this with, but you'll only show it after we make the announcement,
yep,
right?
As always.
Awesome. So let me do this. Let me share some slides with you just to kind of introduce the product. I know most of the people that are probably listening to this so might not see the images, but for anyone who's viewing them, will be just a nice kind of visual
Yeah, we'll have it on YouTube as well as the pod feed, so come and see the video.
Perfect. There it is. All right. So you may have heard of this product before. This is, of course, Rally Camera. This has been around for a while. Again, I've been at Logitech at 8 years, and we launched it right around the time I joined. And the feedback for this product has been overwhelmingly positive. People just love how reliable it is. They love the image quality. But over the last few years, we've gotten more and more feedback around people wanting to put more intelligence into the product, right? So it's like, Henry, I love the optics of Rally camera, but can you make it smarter, kind of like what a Rally bar can do? So that's what we're going to be announcing at ISE, kind of an evolution of the Rally camera portfolio. We'll be announcing a new product that we call Rally AI Camera Pro. Obviously, those who are listening can't see it, so I'll kind of describe it. It's a two-camera solution. It's a PTZ camera, two-camera solution. At the top, we have an optical stack, very similar to the original Rally camera, but we are updating the sensor, so the image quality should be better than Rally camera. So if you like Rally camera, I think you're going to love this particular product. At the bottom, we did something different than what others typically do. So usually at the bottom of the camera, you have like a cheap little viewfinder, and you actually never use it for anything more than framing. We actually see an opportunity to do something really interesting with two cameras. So we put a pretty high-end camera at the bottom as well. So we took the same camera system that's in Rally Board 65, and we put it into the bottom base of this product.
Yeah,
so
you can see the design cues there. It's very clearly the same style of camera.
Exactly. So you have an optical solution at the top, and then you have a wide 115-degree field of view solution at the bottom. So you have two really great cameras that can do two different things. They kind of complement each other very well, and we'll use those two in really interesting ways.
So what drove you to deciding to do digital and optical? Because often there's a debate in the industry about which way do you go.
Absolutely. I think it comes down to choice and just being true to the use cases, right? So we've invested a lot and say we probably have one of the most advanced digital cameras with the 1-inch camera sensors. There's not a lot of those in the market. And we custom design lenses. So we're pretty good at making digital only solutions. But when you compare the two and you look at optical, and if you have that expectation for that lossless video when you zoom in at depth, it's just really difficult to do better than optical. So ultimately we said, both cameras, each camera has its place in this world. One is wider, one is, can go deeper, and really using both, I think, is where ultimately you're going to get the best outcome.
Yeah, so where you're really punching in, that's where the optical shows its kind of strengths.
Absolutely, especially when you're thinking like presenter trackers in the back of the room. That's really where optical just has just some strong advantages. But at the same time, that digital solution is also quite good. But hold your thought on digital only solutions. Of course, as you know, I have more to share. Maybe the only other thing I'll call out about this product, which people at home would want to see, but I'll just kind of detail it with words. We wanted to change kind of the form factor with these devices. Like we've thought a lot about this problem for a while. We've been, we visited so many customers and partners, and Tom, you've probably gone into like a boardroom where everything's beautiful. The table probably costs more than many things you own and I own. And then on these walls are these this technology's hanging out, these protrusions, these cameras, this big black base with this optical camera in the top.
Really common, or like shelved out, jutting out, and you've got these super flat screens or even into the wall screens, so everything is plush except the camera.
Exactly. And the design team, the facilities team, when they were designing the space, they're imagining something beautiful and everything checks the box, and then you got this technology hanging there. And we wanted to help with that. We wanted to do something that was maybe a little better. So the design of the product is different than what traditional PTZ cameras look like, including our own. So if you look at most cameras, they have a big base, right? And then there's an optical thing at the top. What we did is we grew the height of the product a bit, but instead of having a big base, we actually made something that's quite shallow. So the whole product, when it's wall mounted, protrudes only 4 inches from the wall in this off position. So it's 101 millimeters. So it's roughly half the size of the Rally camera when they're wall mounted. And then if you look at some of the competitive products in the market, it's more than half. So it's significantly, it's much more snug against the wall. So thinking about it a little bit differently.
And visual cues there, it's hanging, the optical lens is hanging down, and I assume the board, does the other lens roll? So visually it's very clear that it's off at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So privacy to us is at the top of the list of things we think about from an end user's perspective, just reassuring them the status of the system. And what we want to do is whenever we make these privacy shutters and these privacy mechanisms, we want them to telegraph a very clear state. So like, you see some of these iris things with like a line through it. Most people don't really know what those are or notice them, but our kind of design is very purposeful. So when the camera is not in use, you can look at it and you immediately know. And when the camera comes in use, the motion of the motors and the camera's kind of opening and rolling into place
Yeah, I
conveys
like
its
that.
intent.
Unfortunately, I've seen scenarios in enterprises where people go and deliberately twist the PTZ to try and get it off focus or whatever. So having it shut down very clearly, not be on, is nice.
100%. 100%. But maybe actually just to piggyback off something you said earlier, which is, hey, there's this debate around cameras. Like, do you go digital? Do you go optical? And kind of like I said, we went both because there's a purpose, there's a need for both in many different environments. But we did recognize that there are some environments that could just use just a digital camera. And so maybe a smaller, more discrete form factor would be applicable. This is maybe medium to large shape rooms or just places where you want more discrete solutions. So we had this debate internally, and our engineering and design team came back with a pretty clever idea. And they said, well, why don't we just do both? So at the event, we will be announcing two new cameras, Rally AI Camera Pro, and of course, Rally AI Camera. They are essentially the same camera system. The big difference is one has an optical camera and one doesn't. So the debate around do you need optical or not is over. You can have both. Everyone walks away a winner because we'll have both as an option.
Nice, nice. And for those not listening in, it's kind of like you've taken the unit out of the board 65 and just made it standalone. So you've got that same shallow depth and just no PTZ on the top.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So made it kind of shallower. Again, it's very discrete, smaller form factor device. They both come in two colors, so graphite and off-white. So we're definitely using colors to help just kind of blend itself into the environment so people aren't really too focused on the technology, but focused on meeting. But then we took this idea one step further beyond just making things a little bit smaller, making it with different colors. Kind of pushed this on our design team and said, how do we just make this technology just disappear? So we will be also announcing an in-wall mounting option for both cameras, but specifically for Rally AI camera. Kind of looks like this. It looks like a in-wall enclosure that you can just slip the camera into. This enclosure will also include a nice fabric cover that you can just kind of attach to the front. And when the camera is not in use, the privacy shutter is closed off. And it's just a really nice, elegant, and simple looking device. It doesn't really look like technology.
I love this. It's so slick.
Isn't it nice?
You totally sounded like facilities or architecture there, where you were like, make the technology disappear. Like that's their like primary ask is like, can we have nothing? Well, okay, this is like I feel like this is as close as you get, particularly with the fabric covers. Really, really slick.
Absolutely. In many ways, that's who we're building this for, right? We want to make it easy for IT to talk to their facilities colleagues and simplify their lives and provide solutions and design ideas that maybe haven't historically been possible. And you can kind of make in-wall enclosures, but the feedback we've gotten is just they're not purpose-built for these use cases. They don't look as elegant. And the systems need to be designed in a way to support this. So, for example, the privacy shutter needs to be designed in a way where it can open and close without obstruction. Uh, we do have microphones in these systems for speaker tracking, so those microphones need to work properly, even in an enclosure. Heat dissipation is a huge concern, right? Like that's a very smart device that's in the wall with questionable air ventilation. So all these things are being factored and being designed and considered as part of the solution.
And this is where the engineering on the depth pays off, because you can do this in a fairly standard depth ball. You're not going to need to go 8 inches back to get the box in.
Exactly. It's going to be as small as possible for this type of use case. And ultimately what we want to do is, and again, people at home will have a hard time seeing this, but they'll see assets online. We'll have plenty of imagery, but where things are going are these beautiful spaces with cameras that are multiple cameras in a room, providing this multi-camera, multi-angle experience. The cameras are going to be very, very smart, but they just really nicely blend into the environment. And that's
Hang on, so you just dropped in multicam there, Henry. That's a big deal. So you've obviously had the inside out, like approach of center of table, but now you're going to have multicam outside in with either the PTZs or with these new cameras.
Definitely. There's been a long-standing debate around which way do you go? Do you go inside out, outside in? We obviously came into the market with a strong perspective around the benefits of that center table camera with sight. We now support dual sights, and we're getting really good feedback on that. But we've always known that there would be certain rooms, certain cultures within certain companies that prefer things not on the table, right? Or, other configurations. They want things completely out of sight and out of mind. And we think for those folks, this is going to be a better option. And so really our position around multi-camera is yes, both, inside out, outside in. And, who knows, maybe in the future it's both combined in
Yeah, I
a
was going
room.
to
So
ask you. That sounds like you've got the potential there. A hard problem to get all the AI to do the right camera choice when it's doing inside out and outside in. But you've got the hardware there. That's interesting.
absolutely. First you got to make sure you have the essentially sensors and the capabilities, the compute, the intelligence in the room. And then, you look and you observe how people use these devices and you build solutions out of them. So what we'll be announcing is that we're working closely with our friends at Microsoft and Zoom and others, certainly Google, around multi-camera experiences. We'll kick it off with, for Microsoft, supporting their multi-view experience. So you can connect up to 4 of these cameras, and then that will allow you to stream 4 simultaneous streams to remote participants. And then those folks will actually be showing this off at IIC. So if anyone wants to stop by the booth, definitely come by. But certainly we'll continue to invest more and more into the space. And you kind of see how the vision for multiple cameras, multiple angles is broader than just the Logitech Sight center of the table. It's going to be broader and really targeted, supporting more spaces. I think most organizations will utilize both and maybe pick one over the other and have one more frequently than the other. But really, you're going to find spaces that are going to benefit from these different configurations, and Logitech will be there to support both of these configurations.
Nice. Is it 26 feels like an exciting year for multi-camera. Lots of people are coming with options, and the big platforms are genuinely supporting it in terms of multi-camera, multi-stream. So it's nice, as you said, to have options. Like in a certain scenario, it's a round table, the wiring fits, the site just sits there. But I think as you step up to bigger rooms, like you say, nothing on the desk or a certain form factor, then having that outside in is really interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just in some ways we've already gone through the first wave of multi-camera, and I would say Sight in some ways kickstarted that. And I think you're getting feedback, you're getting new ideas, you've had some assumptions, and I think you should anticipate that a lot of that learning will start getting incorporated into another wave of innovation, and lots of exciting things coming. Some of the demos I've seen internally are pretty exciting. So I can't wait to show some of this to the world. But yeah, I mean, what you're seeing us here is being able to place these devices in the right locations in a way that facilities and other teams love. These devices are incredibly smart, network connectable. So the compute's in place to do interesting things, and working with key alliance partners like Microsoft to tie these cameras together. And the first variant of that, of course, is with Microsoft's multi-view experience.
Nice. And what's the connectivity here for these cameras? So if I run a run 4 or MTR, it'll be an MTR on W and Windows.
Yeah, absolutely. So the device just has 2 ports on it. It has a USB port, and it's got a PoE port for power. And of course, running USB over great distances isn't necessarily everyone's favorite thing to do. So we do have something we call a Rally AI camera extension kit. And all it is, it's this little shoe that sits at the bottom. It's this little step thing that sits at the bottom of the camera. And it converts USB and PoE into just an Ethernet connection. So you can run, I think it's going to be up to 100 meters away. You can run and get power and data over a CAT cable. So installing cameras like this in larger spaces, something in the back of the room, used to involve extenders and it's super simple now. You just get the extension kit, attach it to the bottom, and you can plug it in as a USB endpoint to any MTR, and it's super simple.
Nice. And which units will support these new cameras?
In terms of like the host PC or like the computer.
Yeah.
So because we went certainly support USB, it will work with our entire Collab West portfolio. So Rally bars, Rally bar minis, roommates, you can just plug those in and it will support. So Teams Room on Android users are gonna love that. And of course on MTRW, because it's just standard USB, you can plug this into pretty much any MTR or Windows compute and should just work.
Nice, nice, exciting. It feels like your team is spending a lot of time on design and like the visuals of the like not just the tech but the experience in the room. It is clearly that's coming through in the design. But can you talk to us a little bit about that, because it feels like there's a lot of effort there.
First, thank you for noticing that. That is intentional. When we think about solutions, technology is super important. You absolutely have to nail kind of IT's requirements around being able to do really, really important things and being able to manage them remotely and being able end users want certain things, but so do other stakeholders like facilities. And more there's a conversation around spaces and like design and its purpose and its intent. And for us, the technology should not be in the middle of that conversation. Technology should just kind of blend away nicely. It should do what it needs to do, but it really shouldn't celebrate itself. And so we create these lower profile products. If you look at our controller, the original Tap, it's a very low profile design compared to other things in the market. If you think about every single one of our mounts for our wall mounting capabilities for our controllers and our schedulers, it's really around just making the technology kind of take a step back and just let humans collaborate while the technology kind of does what it needs to do silently in the background. You're going to see us do more of that, and this is a good example of us doing it in a big way. You will see more of this throughout 2026 and beyond, because we really consider the facilities, the real estate, the design team as part of this conversation. It's not it's no longer a nice to have. You got to include all the stakeholders.
Yeah.
And they also make these big decisions. A lot of times the decisions are made around space use and design. It's not just the technology that drives the decisions.
I think it's particularly pertinent when you get into multicam, because suddenly it feels a bit like, oh, have I got like all these PTZ cameras all around the room? Like that can feel a certain way, and it's interesting how these blend into the wall really nicely.
Definitely. And we're trying to achieve that. We want, and maybe people won't even notice there are any cameras in the room. And that's almost the ideal state, right? People are just focused on collaboration.
Awesome. Last thing I wanted to touch on hardware wise, and anything else you want to go over as well. But the Spot is now in market and available, as I understand it.
Definitely. We shipped it last year, right before Christmas. It is officially GA. Europe actually got it first. US also got it shortly thereafter, and it's now flowing through the rest of the world.
Awesome. And that's your kind of environmental sensor, battery powered, like stick it on the wall. It's interesting to see you getting into that space as well. Obviously, you've had sensors in some of the kit before, but now this you can fit to every single room at an affordable price point. But also, more importantly, I think from a retrofit point of view, that battery powered stick it on the wall is really nice.
You nailed it. That last part it was the key. It was really we have sensors in some of our devices, but really when you talk to real estate teams, they're not looking to get insights only from rooms with video in it. They want insights from all spaces. And some of these spaces may never have video in it, right? Some of these like phone booths designed for one person just to sit in with their laptop. And so the question is, how can we help that same facility, the real estate team, answer their needs, their questions, which is around space occupancy and energy savings. Like, why are people using certain rooms, not the others? Are rooms being overcooled, overheated? Like, these are the questions people are trying to answer. And the solutions in the market can be quite complex and certainly siloed. So our intent is to, and has been to, make a really simple to deploy sensor that can detect presence, it can detect environmental factors, CO2, temperature, humidity, and many other things. But then to take that data and make it accessible broadly. So we make the data available through APIs. You can export CSV files, but now we're also going to be launching a Teams integration in the coming months. And we're working really closely with our friends at Microsoft Places to also make sure this data flows into that data pool. So we really want to make this data available to wherever the real estate and IT teams need it. And we want to make sure this data isn't just for traditional lodging rooms. We want it to be available for all spaces, because that's where really the benefit of the insights come in. It's when you have it for all of your different work environments.
Yeah, it feels like a big year for places. Obviously, it's been in market GA a year now. We just had Brennan on the show. That will have gone out by the time this goes out. And like, there's a lot coming in places this year, including a more robust API story, which allows partners like yourselves to get in there from a data point of view. But the data then is going to be really important.
That's right. Spot's probably the biggest thing happening in places this year. That's what I would. That's how I see it.
That's your
But I'm
your
biased.
independent pitch, Henry.
I'm a little biased, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show again. Really nice to catch up. I'll see you in person at ISE. But for everybody listening in, this will come out just before ISE. All this stuff available to look at and test out and poke and prod at the show.
Everything will be there. All the mounts, all everything. The product team that worked on this, the engineers will be there. Come ask us the hard questions. We'll be there. We'd love to answer them.
Awesome. Well, yeah, do make sure you stop by Logitech. I'll be doing a video from the show as well for those who aren't lucky enough to get over there. But yeah, really impressive stuff, Henry, and I'm excited to get hands on as always.
Sweet. And I'll see you soon in Barcelona. Thanks,
Awesome.
Tom.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.